Hello, I am Terry Lynn Hamby, and I am the Chemical Hygiene Officer for Atlantic Cape Community College. This is an overview of the Chemical Hygiene Plan with details that pertain to your specific duties and environment. The Chemical Hygiene Plan is a state-required document that is composed from the OSHA standards for laboratory hazards. It is a guideline for safe lab practices and to alert you to potential hazards. Anyone who has access to our laboratories is required to receive training. The Chemical Hygiene Plan is to alert you to potential hazards, how to protect yourself, and ensure the safety of staff, students, and visitors on campus while protecting college property.
The Executive Director of HR authorizes the Chemical Hygiene Officer to oversee and implement the plan. The Executive Director also acts as a liaison between the Chemical Hygiene Officer and the President, who has the ultimate responsibility for the plan. The Chemical Hygiene Officer works closely with the Compliance Officer to make sure that the Chemical Hygiene Plan works with other compliance plans such as the hazardous waste and provides perspective on inspections. Faculty are responsible for instructing students in the lab about safe lab practices and enforces these practices. Lab staff need to follow safety practices and alert others in the lab when these practices are not being performed. Non-lab staff need to be aware of their surroundings while working in laboratories and follow safe lab practices. Types of chemicals that can be found on campus include highly toxic chemicals. A chemical is classified as highly toxic when the lethal dose is equal to or less than 50 milligrams per kilogram when ingested orally, 200 milligrams per kilogram for topical exposure, and 200 parts per million or 2 milligrams per liter for inhalation exposure. Mercuric nitrate, sodium dichromate, and bromine are examples of this. A chemical is classified as highly flammable when its flash point is less than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. We have many of these on campus. A few examples are acetone, methanol, cyclohexane, ethanol, and pentane. Highly reactive chemicals usually are reactive with other chemicals or substances, such as hydrogen peroxide and its reactions with metals, or sulfuric acid and its violent reaction with water. Highly corrosive chemicals are acids and bases with a molarity greater than 1 molar. Some that we have on campus would be ammonium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, hydrochloric acid, and sulfuric acid. Contact hazards encompass chemicals that can be found in all of these classifications and are any chemical that can damage the skin or eyes with contact. Reproductive toxins include lead and mercury compounds and chloroform. Some reproductive toxins can cause the loss of the baby, while others cross the placenta and cause birth defects, and other types may damage the ability to conceive. Working in the labs. Best practice is to wear proper personal protective equipment. This starts with how you dress for work. Long pants and skirts that cover the legs, along with sturdy shoes that cover the entire foot, must be worn. The college provides safety eyewear, gloves, and aprons. If you need safety eyewear, contact your supervisor. Aprons and gloves are found in all lab rooms. When chemicals are present in a lab or lab employees are actively working, safety eyewear must be worn. Aprons and gloves are to be worn depending on the task being done within the lab. Never eat or drink in a lab room. It is best to leave food and drink outside the labs, but some labs have cubby space where items may be stored. When entering a lab, take a minute to check for hazards before you begin your work. Report hazards to the chemical hygiene officer. The chemical hygiene officer will instruct you on how to proceed. If you notice chemical odors coming from the trash, do not remove the trash. Contact the chemical hygiene officer. Counters and benches get wiped down by lab students and staff. Please do not wipe them. Glass boxes are used to collect broken glassware. Lab glass is not recyclable. The boxes do not get emptied. They stay until full, and then the lab staff will seal them and mark them as trash. At that point, they may be taken to the trash. The box is to prevent cuts. And then wash your hands before leaving the lab. Spills and safety. If you see or cause a spill in a science lab, evacuate the room and hang the magnetic spill sign on the hallway side of the door. Call security to contact the chemical hygiene officer and/or the compliance officer. Safety. It is best not to work alone in the lab, but the reality is that times we may need to work alone. If this is the case, alert a coworker of what lab you will be working in and approximately how long you will be there. Make sure to check in with them when you have completed your work. This way, if something happens and you don't return, they're not waiting until a security walkthrough before you're found if you need help. In the event of an evacuation, exit through the closest door and make sure that it shuts and locks behind you. In each lab, we have a variety of safety equipment to use during emergencies. If you were to splash chemicals on your eye, you would want to use the eye wash. If it were spilled on your person, there are safety showers to take care of that. We also have fire blankets and spill kits. If you need any training or instruction on any of the safety items that can be found in the lab, please feel free to contact me.
Some control measures we utilize at Atlantic Cape are signs and posters to provide information and to alert you to hazards, safety data sheets, exposure monitoring when needed. Inventory and incident report forms are kept for up to 30 years.
If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at thamby@atlanticcape.edu. You can also call me at 609-343-5025 or stop by my office in the STEM building, S216. Thank you.